What is up, all of my beautiful freaking people? Welcome back to another episode of FML Talk. Today is a fun girl talk episode with just a little bit of drama. I cannot wait for you guys to meet Gigi. Grab a drink and welcome to FML Talk.
Oh my God. Wait, how old was the other girl?
19. Can you believe that shit?
Hey, this is Gabrielle Stone.
Good book?
He did what? 48 hours?
What a dick.
Yeah, but have you seen all the photos on her Instagram?
And this is FML Talk.
Oh, no, she didn't.
Y'all know I love a good self-love cocktail and occasionally an actual cocktail. I have always notoriously hated the taste of alcohol and needed it disguised in a good mixology cocktail until I discovered Neft. Because Neft is a premium vodka in its purest form with non-GMO rye, it has a light taste full of character. Not only is Neft one of the best tasting vodkas I've ever had, it also comes in the cutest packaging I have ever seen. Their unbreakable barrel keeps it chilled for up to 6 hours, making it the perfect drink to take just about anywhere. Join me in adding a little actual cocktail into your self-love cocktail with Neft vodka. Cheers! You guys, this story is like 3 FML stories rolled into one. Gigi and I have known each other for a very long time. I met her when I was teaching dance in what seems like my other life ago. And she was one of my advanced students back in a lot of my classes back in the day. And she has since gone on to be a very accomplished singer-songwriter, an incredible talent. And when I heard the story of what she went through recently in her love life, I knew that I wanted to have her on to discuss all the things. I cannot wait for you guys to meet her, so let's jump straight in to today's episode. Miss Gigi, welcome to FML Talk.
Thank you.
This
I'm so happy. It's crazy.
Wild to
I know.
see you sitting across from me right now.
I know.
I'm so excited.
So excited too.
You have an insane story since I saw you last, and I cannot wait to get into it. I know there's like kind of multiple layers to it.
Yeah.
So like take me back to the very beginning.
Okay, so the beginning, I had this boyfriend who I loved. And it's funny because he was my best friend's brother. So we were all this like little close family. And he ended up moving in with me into my West Hollywood apartment, who I shared with a roommate who was like one of my other best friends. And it was getting like a little bit weird. I think was younger than me. So I think it was just like kind of a lot for him to take in. And he wasn't like working at the time. So he would kind of just like sit in my room and like wait for me to come home from work.
Didn't
and
have like a purpose of his own.
Yeah. And like not really a lot of friends because he wasn't from LA. Mm-hmm. So that lasted like literally like maybe like a month living together, and like right after that we'd been together for like a year before that. He went back to the Bay where he was from, and then like kept changing the date that he was going to come back to LA to come home, and I'm just like, what like the hell, what's going on?
Right.
And then he finally came back, and that day he just like broke up with me, and then just went to go buy a suitcase and like got all his shit and went back home to the Bay.
And how long? You guys have been together for like a year.
Yeah. So I was just like, oh, like, okay. It was so like out of the blue for me.
Yeah.
But I guess like I kind of knew something was off just because he had been so like non-responsive and like wasn't acting like he wanted to come back home.
Yeah.
So,
and how were you feeling on the other end of that?
Like every time, first of all, I've never broken up with anybody in my life. And so every time I've been like broken up with, and it is like, I'm like an end of the world girl. Like everything is such a big deal to me.
Just
so
like blasting the Taylor Swift 10-minute
it's literally like, that's my vibe.
Crying in the mirror.
Yeah. Like I could numb for 2 weeks or 2 years, and it's like the same, like huge explosion of emotion. So yeah, I was feeling horrible about that. He left. And then like shortly after that, my roommate who I was living with decided to go to rehab, which is an incredible choice. I celebrate that. But then that kind of just left me alone in that apartment. And then that roommate decided that they were going to have to stay, you know, much longer. So it was basically like, find like another roommate, or like you can live with these random people, or just like pay the whole thing yourself. And I was like, okay, no. So
on top of feeling like brokenhearted
yeah,
and abandoned at that point.
Yeah, I was like more abandoned by like everyone. Yeah. And it was weird with my best friend too, because she, who was that boyfriend's sister, she was like in the middle of this weird thing where it was like her best friend and then like her brother.
Right. So it's like, whose side do you even take in that?
Yeah, and she wasn't really there for me, and like I was just like, I'd been there for so much. So then I was sad about her and sad about the boyfriend, sad about the roommate. It just felt like everything was kind of crashing down. Moved back in with my parents, who are incredible, but it's not like always where you want to be.
No, I mean, I moved back to my mom's after my divorce, and I was just like, cool.
Yeah.
Here we are in my childhood bedroom.
Exactly. It feels like very stunted, and you're like, it's like, it's comfortable, but it's also like, life is moving on without me, and like people are like getting their shit done and, you know, buying homes and doing crazy things that I feel so far away from.
Right.
So that I was kind of depressed living in that house. And then I got this call to go to a writing camp in the Dominican Republic, and it was at Pitbull's house. So
like
I was
his actual
like
house?
his home that he owns there, that he like stays at.
Oh my God, I cannot.
And I was like, okay, like this sounds like a scam. Like it's got to be a scam. But I knew 2 other writers who were going, and they had like been with this company before. So I was like, okay, like I'll just go. Like that's gonna be incredible. I've never been there before. I've never been to Pitbull's house before.
Right?
Yeah, and it was like I didn't have to pay to go. So I was like, this is it. This is amazing.
How long was the retreat supposed to be?
I think this one was about 10 days.
Oh my God, that's like
it was
wildly
crazy. The house was like unlike anything I've ever seen before. It was so sick. Yeah, it was incredible. So I was like, yeah, let's go. And I got on a plane like maybe like 2 weeks later after I got the call. And I went to the Dominican Republic. And then that's where it all takes another turn for the worse.
This is where we make a hard fucking left into like new territory. So wait, first of all, was Pitbull at the house?
So he came one day. He was getting ready to do the Super Bowl at the time. So he was in Miami. But he popped in for like one night and like came and like listened to our music.
Oh my
and
God, how cool.
Walked around and shook every single person's hand and was like unbelievably kind.
That's
he's
so
like
rad.
a sick guy. Like he's amazing.
Mr. 305.
Yeah, who knew? He was like literally the best dude ever.
Oh my God, I love that.
Yeah.
Okay, so you get to the retreat.
Yes. And I'm like one of the last people to show up on like the first night. And they're just having like a welcome party, I guess, because it was pretty crazy.
And it's in the Dominican Republic.
I know. It was like really like I saw some like shocking things. And I get there, like say hi to the people that I knew, the 2 people. I'm like kind of meeting everybody. And it's like wrapping up because I was there so late. But I like see this one guy there and I was like, okay, like he's so cute. And he has like a very like Scandinavian look, very different from my ex. So I was like, okay, let's find whoever is going to be the most different from this last
Let
ex.
me be polar opposite.
I went polar opposite, and like this guy is a literal like he has a face tattoo and like everything.
Oh my God, Gigi.
I was like, incredible. This is it. This will do. Yeah.
This is the guy. This is the mark of the man.
He's the guy.
Oh my God. I can relate to that though, because when I split from my ex-husband, who is like, well, at the time he was like the most vanilla white boy there is, I was like, yes, I'm going to go dance with this hot Latin man. Like that looks completely opposite from this douche that I just divorced. So
you gotta flip it up a little bit. And I talked to him for like a second. He was like really like nice, like soft spoken guy. I was like, okay, he's like sensitive guy, but he's got a face tat. Like this is incredible.
Check. I didn't know if a face tat was a check, but check.
But it's a check now. Just it's so shocking. And that kind of started it. Like he and I like were like just flirting like a lot there. He was like a big like starer, like Edward Cullen, like Twilight stare from like across the room. But I was like, okay, yes, like stare away.
Stare into my soul with your
like,
face tattoo.
with your face tattoo. And so I was just like really like eager to like get back on the horse. And we were just kind of flirting a lot. And then it was like the natural progression next would be like, okay, like, are you going to kiss me? Like,
right.
Hello, like we're together all the time. We got along really well. And then he just like wouldn't do it. And I'm like, this is getting like so annoying. Like, I'm just going to ask him, like, what's your vibe?
Right.
And so I did. And he's like, oh, like, it's just like I really want to, but it's just like a little bit complicated. I'm like, oh, like, well, what's complicated about it? Mm-hmm. Like, do you have a girlfriend? Mm-hmm. And he's like, no. I was like, okay, then amazing. Then there's no complication. And he was like, yeah, I don't know, just like taking things slow, whatever. Then it ended up happening, and like we were kind of together the whole rest of that trip. And
wait, I'm sorry. Did you have sex in Pitbull's house?
Not in his house. Actually, yes, we did. Yeah, I did. The first time was like in like a villa, like off Pitbull's house, and then the last time was at Pitbull's house.
I feel like that's kind of a bucket list moment.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, I wish it would have been with Pitbull instead, because he seems like a way nicer dude.
Oh my god.
Yeah. So it finally happened. Everything was great. Everything was great. Before we kissed the first time, and he said he doesn't have a girlfriend. He said like flat out no. He was like, I'm like, okay, great. Yeah, like, what's the complication then? And he was like, well, I had one for 7 years, but we broke up. And I was like, oh, okay. And he's like, so it's like weird to like try to be with someone because it was like recent that we broke up. I was like, that's fine. Like, I got it. Like, same boat. Like, yeah. And he's like, yeah, like, it was a really, tumultuous relationship. And like, so I let her still live in my house. Because he like really flipped it on her, which was like she's going through like a hard time, and I'm scared of like what she's gonna do because her mental state is all crazy. I should have like known right then. It's like, okay, like you're acting like this like martyr who's like I'm letting her stay with me, like even though I don't want to be with her.
Yeah, the amount of people I've heard the same story from. Yeah, like men that have told them that. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, continue.
And it's like, usually if a guy is talking like so badly about his ex-girlfriend, like that's like, hello, red flag. Like you're probably the bad guy.
Right.
Like it's crazy to me. So he like admits that he did have a girlfriend, but he does not now. And I was like, please be like very clear, because I don't want to like ruin some girl's life. Yeah. Like if you guys were together for 7 years, that's a really big commitment. And he was like, no. Like, we're definitely not together. Mm-hmm. And then we like kiss, we hook up, blah, blah, blah. And then finally he's like, okay, when I go home, I'm going to tell her to leave my house. And I was like, well, don't do that because of me. Like we live like on opposite sides of the world.
Where did he live?
He lives, so I said on my TikTok that he was from Norway, but because I just wanted to obscure him a little bit more, but he really is from Sweden.
Okay.
Yeah, which is fine.
But which is
he never said anything about it's across the world. So I was just like, make sure that you're not doing this because of me, because this is probably not gonna be like a real thing.
Yeah.
And he's like, no, you like just being with you is showing that like I want to like sever the ties with her. It's like, if that's your decision, then that's your decision. He's like, yeah. So we are leaving the trip, and he's like calling me from the airport. Like he's very like much seems like he wants to stay in touch. And I think it just felt like it got like really serious really quickly. Yeah. Which I was happy about, because I'm just like anything to get my head off the other guy.
Right.
So
which is not healthy, by the way.
Yeah. Okay. I'm a big like what do they call it? Like lily pad hopper. Like I'm like a serial, like have a boyfriend, go to the next one,
Right.
Which is not great. Yeah. Not a great trait. We know it. We're aware of it. We're working on it.
Okay.
So he goes home, and I'm home, and somebody had sent me a photo of us, like a professional guy that was there taking photos. The photo is so innocent. It's just like literally like well, maybe I'd be sitting like where this is to you.
Right.
We're not touching. It's just like snapped of us sitting on this like floating couch thing.
Okay.
And I sent it to him, and I get this text back, like what would be like very, very early in the morning for them, like around like 4 or something.
Yeah.
So I was like, that's kind of weird. And it's like, Gigi, like, this is so unprofessional. Like, I can't believe that you would be like texting this number and sending a photo. Like, that's just incredibly unprofessional. And I was like,
this is after you guys have like flown back and been texting back and forth and talking.
yeah, but this is like the next day after he got back. So in the airport, he was talking to me.
Okay.
But also with the time differences too. Like, I didn't really think anything of it. But yeah, so I get this text and I'm like, unprofessional. Like, you're the one that was sleeping with me on a tree. Like, you're like on the retreat. You know, we both work in the industry. Like, I thought we were just both adults about this. But I didn't say anything right away. And I'm just like thinking to myself, and I'm like, this is the girlfriend texting me.
Yeah.
And he for sure has a girlfriend who's sleeping in his bed right now, went through his phone and saw this
Oh my God.
thing. And I'm sure like he had deleted all the other texts. So I was like, how do I like react to this? I kind of just sent something back that was like, this is not unprofessional at all. Like, it's literally just a photo that somebody took. But like, okay, like question mark or something. But I should have been like, okay, like this is obviously your girlfriend.
Was it unprofessional when you were slipping into my vagina?
Yeah, literally.
Like, I don't understand.
I know, it was so weird. And I was just like, okay, so he doesn't respond for like 4 days. And then it's kind of just confirming like everything. Like, I'm like, definitely he has a girlfriend. And now he's in hot water with her because she has seen like a photo of us. And, you know, who else, like, I don't know what else she could have even seen. I got a call back from him 4 days later. I'm just like, should I even answer this? But I was like, well, I kind of want to know like what happened. And he like calls me and he's just like, I'm so sorry. Like, that was her. And I was like, yeah, like, I know. He's like, thanks for like not saying anything else. And I was like, okay, well, it wasn't like to cover for you. I was just kind of so stunned that I was being like painted as this like unprofessional person. Yeah. I was just like, don't call me that ever. And he admitted, and he was like, yeah, like she, like we're still not together, but she was just living there. Not true. Like, they were definitely together.
Right.
And he was like, but like, I really like did break up with her. But it's like, okay, how many times? And at some point, I'm to be like, okay, like I have like a part to play in this too, and like being like a dumb bitch. I'm like,
right.
How many times can you let, like, clearly he's lying, and like, you know, he's lying. So I just kept letting him get away with it. I think because I was just like, who really, like, it's not like this is really gonna be anything between us because we live so far. Cut to, I go to Norway on this.
Wait, shut up.
No, well, this is on a writing trip.
That was gonna be like, okay,
no.
And then, you know, it was that.
No, it still goes on because this is
God.
like where it's like, I'm so sorry. Like, come on, Gigi, like, get with it.
Right.
We go to
Okay,
Norway.
man, those fucking love goggles are brutal.
Yeah,
sometimes.
they're so bad.
Yeah.
Go to Norway. I don't think he's gonna be there. I'd like stop talking to him after the girlfriend thing. I was just like, I'm pissed. Like, I just don't like this
Why did you
narrative
go to
like at all.
Norway?
For a different writing trip.
Got it.
But he does not live in Norway. He was not from there.
Right.
So I was like, okay, I go to this thing. I'm there, flying like all by myself, like trying to figure out where I am. Finally get to the hotel, and I found somebody that I had known there. And they were like, oh my God, like, let's go hang out with, well, like, you know, this person I know, this person I know, this person I know, him, this person I know. I'm like, wait, no. Like, are you serious? He's coming.
Right.
Like, no, he's here.
For the retreat?
Yeah.
Shut up.
Yeah. So this trip, he was there too. And, you know, it's the same old song and dance. He's like, you know, it had been like, you know, a month or two. And he was like, yeah, for real. Like, she moved out. Like, we, you know, we're just going on with our lives now. And like, everything's actually fine. I was like, oh, that's good. And he was like, yeah, I think it's like what's best for both of us. And she like really understood. And so I let him back in on this trip. And then after that, I was going to Sweden, which is where he lived. And he lived like kind of far from where I was staying. And I'm like going to do my writing and all that. And he comes over and like stays with me for like 2 days. And then goes back, but it was very like romantic vibes. Like he did not mention her once. He wasn't like taking calls from her. And I get home and he is, you know, talking to me every day and FaceTiming me, calling me, saying he wants to like come to LA.
Oh my God, that's like a commitment.
Yeah,
when
and
you
I was
live
just
that
kinda like,
far and you guys
whoa.
are like flying across the fucking world.
Yeah. So I was just like, this is getting like so intense. And we, you know, we had been talking. And then he like kind of started to like do things that like I just found like really annoying. Like I got like a little ick vibe from him.
Like what?
Which was, it was just like literally nothing. Like just the way he would like talk.
Okay.
Like he would just try to make jokes that were just so bad. So then I was kind of like, a little turned off by that.
Yeah.
And then somebody told me that he was lying the whole time and still has the girlfriend of 7 years and they have a dog and they still live together.
They have a dog?
Yeah.
Wait, that's the most devastating part.
I
of
know,
this.
I'm like,
how are you
okay.
gonna fucking cheat on your dog?
Yeah, you're cheating on your dog. So
he still had a whole ass girlfriend the whole time.
he still had a whole
that
ass
was living
girlfriend.
with him.
Yeah.
While he was like calling and FaceTiming.
Yeah.
How
He
do
wouldn't
people,
do
like-
it from the house though. Like he was like got a studio. And he, like when you're like in the music business, you're like always, it's not weird if your significant other that who's in the business is always gone and out and working. Because the hours can be really long. So she probably just thought like, oh, he's working.
Oh my God, dude.
Yeah.
So how did you actually find out that he was still with the girl?
Somebody who knew him
Yeah.
told me, who I had known also. So
okay.
somebody who like was at one of the camps with us.
Oh my God.
Like finally was like,
Did
I'm from there.
you-
Like I know that they're together.
Did you reach out to him after that? To, like, call
I'm
him
like
on his-
trying to remember. I think I just like literally stopped talking to him.
Yeah.
And I just never responded again. And it was weird. Like he would never like follow me on Instagram or anything like that, but he would always watch everything like while we were talking.
Ew,
and
that's
then
so
I
creepy
would be like,
because
okay.
then you know that they're literally typing your name into their fucking search
Yeah.
bar, going to your story, watching it
Yeah.
multiple times a day.
I'm like, okay, you're
Like,
obsessed.
what? I can't.
But I'm like, why don't you follow me? Like, it's weird. And he's like, well, first of all, it's because he had a girlfriend, but he'd be
Right.
like, well, I just don't like, since we broke up, like, I don't want her to see, like, if I'm liking your stuff. Like, I don't want her to feel bad.
No.
And I'm like, okay, totally. Like, I don't want her to feel bad either. Like,
Yeah, but also like giant red fucking
but like,
flag.
yeah, you're lying.
Okay. So moral of the story for that is like beware of men with face tattoos.
That's literally a huge takeaway. Yeah. It's like my number one thing I learned is like, okay, like that's a little bit of a loose cannon thing to do. So
Right. So maybe that's indicative of how this relationship is going to go. So you stop talking to him and then you decide to put that into your art.
Yes. So I actually started writing the song before like we were totally done talking because I'd known that he had lied before about the girlfriend. So and I was just like, wow, like if I was in her shoes, like I would hate me and I would be like really upset. And I really didn't mean to like throw a wrench in this girl's life at all.
Right.
So it's just like this idea of being like the accidental other woman.
Yeah.
And
that must,
yeah.
How did that make you feel?
Obviously, I felt so bad. I mean, I'd just been through a breakup myself, so I really, really didn't. I don't know this girl at all. I have no idea, like, what her name is, to be honest, anymore. But it's never fun to, like, hurt somebody.
Yeah.
And, like, if she found out I don't know if she ever, like, really, really, truly found out the extent of everything, but that's got to be, like, such a betrayal, and especially, like, they lived together. They had, like, a commitment to each other.
Yeah.
So I really felt horrible. And then at the same time, I was also feeling like in the middle of it, I was feeling feelings of like I was feeling good things because I was getting the attention that I desired. And I was feeling good about myself after I'd been feeling so like undesirable and abandoned. I was like, wow, like, you know, people do want to be with me.
Right.
So it was just like these two different sides of this coin that
I'm curious, and this is like kind of a slippery slope, but I'm curious because obviously I was in a marriage and you were at my wedding.
Yes.
And were part of our flash mob.
Yes.
Which was fucking awesome, by the way.
that like
I don't
at
care.
least we have that.
I produced the shit out of that
Yeah,
wedding.
yeah.
Like I don't care we cast the male lead wrong, but that wedding was fucking epic.
Yeah,
Period.
you always can recast. Yeah.
And so I'm curious, as the accidental other woman, one of the things that I took away when I found out everything was the betrayal of and the disrespect for my body because I, my ex was never one for condoms, like period, end of discussion.
Yeah.
So I knew that when he was banging her, they weren't using anything.
so
And then he
brutal.
was coming home like the night or the night after and sleeping with me.
Yeah.
And like just the level of disrespect to know that you can like stick your shit in 2 different places in the span of 24 to 48 hours. And one is your wife.
Yes, there we go.
And like you don't know what the other person might be carrying or doing is so foul to me.
It's foul.
So I'm curious on your end, like, did you have any of those feelings of like, from the opposite end?
Well, I mean, when I was with him, like it wasn't like he would be with her one night and me one night because it was like we are stuck here together for X amount of days and you go home and you be with her.
Yeah.
And obviously I know like how I like take care of myself. Like I wasn't worried for her.
Right.
But it's still like pretty gross.
Yeah.
Like
it's
like a betrayal on so many levels. Like just lying sucks. And then like, I don't know, just if he was telling his girlfriend like I wasn't with anybody that whole time and then he comes home and he sleeps with her.
Right.
Like just the disrespect on her.
Yeah.
Is so disgusting to me.
Yeah. Did you ever feel like you wanted to find out who she was and reach out to her to like tell her?
No, I don't know why I didn't.
Well, I mean, I'm not saying like you should have or you shouldn't have. I get messages and DMs from people and they're like, I know that so-and-so in my life is having an affair. Yeah. Should I say something? And I can never answer that because you can't be like, yes, go blow up this person's life or no, so like let them continue to be disrespected. You can't answer that.
It's such a hard line because I totally get it. And like, I just don't want to like ruin someone's day or like life.
Right.
And I like hate to be the bearer of bad news and maybe that's just like a cop-out thing for me or I'm just too scared. But like if something happened like with one of my friends, it would be real. I would have to, obviously you have to tell them like if you know they're being cheated on, but that would just be so hard.
Yeah.
Like what a horrible conversation to have with someone and like see them be upset.
Yeah. Like I look back.
It's happened to me before. It's like I had to have a friend had to tell me.
Oh, that you were being cheated on?
Yeah. And it's like... this was like in college, but like the immediate like reaction to it was like, no, he's not. Like, why would you say that? And like, you're lying.
Right.
And it's just like, why? And like, all right, I'm mad at my roommate because he told me. And it's like, no, be mad at the boyfriend who cheated on you. Or I was mad at the girl who was allegedly with. And then the boyfriend just lied about it after. And I actually still to this day don't know if it was true or not because I wouldn't investigate any further because I didn't want to be like heartbroken. And obviously I was a lot younger. Yeah. But then I found out that same boyfriend who was, God, that's a whole nother podcast to talk about him. He, right after we broke up, he like reached out to my roommate who's also a boy to see if he would have sex with him.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And so like, that boyfriend, I mean, that roommate wouldn't tell me for like 2 years because he's like, I know like, you're going to freak out.
She wouldn't even believe me that he was cheating with a girl.
Yeah.
That he now wants to like have sex with a man.
And he's like, and I said no, but like.
Oh my God, I cannot. So you start writing the song while things are kind of crumbling with this guy. Yeah. And then tell me how that writing process goes and what the song is.
I mean, it flowed through pretty easily on this one. It was a song that I had written like pretty much by myself, just with these 2 producers. And for me, like I'm usually like a big co-write collaborator kind of girl. So this is one of the first songs that I did like pretty much completely by myself. And I just loved this, I like how fun it was sounding, but also it's about something that like sucks and like someone who sucks. Yeah. So I was just using like playing with how good it felt to be wanted by him. And then that like, I feel really bad that this woman doesn't know that I'm with her guy.
It's so wild. You think about like, does she have any idea that there is a full-on song about her?
I have no idea.
I get DMs all the time, and they're like, "Do you think Laurel has read the book?" And I'm like, "Oh, I don't fucking know."
I don't know. Yeah, he never said anything about it to me, and I was like really, really scared to post that TikTok because I was just like, I don't want to open this can of worms again. Like, exposing him, even though I made such a point to like obscure his identity. But yeah, he never said anything about it. So I was just like, whatever, like we're going for it. And I have no idea if she knows.
Wild.
Yeah.
It's a bop too. The first time I played it, I was like, okay. And I was actually with, do you remember Brittany Bennett?
Of course. I was literally going to ask you about her.
Yeah. Which for people listening that don't correlate the two, Brittany Bennett is Jess in Eat Pray FML. And I was at her house for dinner and I played it. Oh, and she's like, oh my God, this is a really good song. I'm like, this is Gigi. She's like, shut the fuck up.
Oh, it's so cute.
And it gets stuck in your head quite easily.
Yeah.
I am a fan.
Thank you so much.
So we are going to play a snippet of it right now.
Fooled me once, bet it hurt her twice as much. But she don't know a thing, miss your touch. Dirty secret, keep it hush. Just like a Kennedy, I'm sorry for the trouble, didn't mean to make it complicated. I got so caught up in all the love that we were making. I know it's crazy. Hands all on my body, got me feeling like a secretary. I should probably stop and walk away from all this, baby. I know it's crazy. Oh, wish I could take you home. Stop loving on the low. We never make it, no. I'm better off alone. Don't wanna let you go, but it's out of my control. You're better off alone. She's better off. I know it's not fair, but this kiss is like heroin. I didn't mean to be the Marilyn. I know it's not fair, but this kiss is like heroin. I didn't mean to be the Marilyn.
So how does it feel knowing that you were able to take a shitty fucking situation that like nobody wants to go through, and being the accidental other woman and turning it into your art?
I mean, at the end of the day, I was thankful for the situation because I learned from it and I got to use it in my life. And I think, like, as artists, you know, it's sometimes when bad things happen to you, like, okay, it's kind of like good because like it was getting a little boring for a bit,
right?
You know, and you always have to use these things, and it helps you get through them.
Yeah.
By really like laying it out and then like or having fun with it, it makes it like not such a dark situation if you can like spin it in a way. Right. Yeah. So I wish that it didn't happen to that girl, but I'm glad that I went through it just to, teach myself some lessons and listen to people when they show you who they are the first time, so you don't have to go through it 10 times.
For the people in the back.
Yeah.
Listen to the people when they show you who they are the first time.
And it's hard. And I, will probably mess up a million more times in love, but at least I know it and I'm working on it.
I think some of the best artists, not just in the music industry, like, there's Adele and Taylor Swift, but like everyone's waiting for them to go through some massive heartbreak because that's when you come out with the best shit. Like, I think writers are the same way. I think actors can use that as well. I think it's an art thing in general when you use the fucked up shit that goes on in your life to make some really great art. Yeah.
And it's weird. It's like can be a trap too because like for example, now I'm in like a pretty good stage of like I'm pretty happy, but then it's like, well, now what do I talk about? Like, and you're like, you never want to be like completely healthy, or I don't.
Like, let's go blow up my life.
Yeah, I'm like, how are we gonna do this? Like, I mean, I could, but I'm also working so hard to be like healthy and happy, but then I also like want bad stuff to happen to me. It's just, it's
a tumultuous life of an artist.
Yeah.
So you're with someone now.
I am.
Why don't you tell the lovely people who that person is?
So if we can even remember at the beginning of the story, we talked about the first boyfriend I had who lived with me in West Hollywood, and his sister is my best friend. And we're back together for like a year and a half maybe now.
And did we ever have the conversation of why did you just pack your shit and walk out on me?
Of course we talked about, we dealt with that. We were apart for like a full year. and now we are back on. So
Full fucking circle, dude.
Yeah.
I love it. I'm so happy to see you happy.
Me too. Oh, I'm happy to see you happy too. There you go.
You know, we've gone through the muck for the sake of the art, and now we're doing stuff differently.
We're coming out on the other side.
I love it.
Yeah.
Cheers to you, girl. Thanks for being here.
I love you.
I love you. I want to thank Gigi so much for coming on and sharing all of the crazy details of her story. If you want to follow her on Instagram, her handle is at Gigi Grombacher. Also, make sure you guys check out her music. She has some really incredible songs that are out, and I am a huge fucking fan of them. Okay, we are now going to take a turn and jump into some of your FML stories. Here's number 1.
Hey Gabrielle, it's Valerie, and I've got a doozy of a story for you, but here are the quick hits. Number 1, this person and I consistently saw each other over the span of 2 years, and in that entire time, he was seeing several other women. I did not know this initially, but I had my suspicions. I just could never prove it. Number 2, one day, I was feeling particularly uncomfortable in my lady area, and I went to the doctor to find out something absolutely horrifying, and when I addressed him about it, he wasn't surprised. He actually already knew, and what's worse is he had already given me the pill to remedy the situation. Number 3, all these other girls that he was messing around with, one of them he took to Hawaii instead of me. Another one he took to South Carolina instead of me. He consistently took them out to do fun activities instead of me. We did our own things. He doted on me as well, and I always let him back in. Always. The I'm sorry's, it won't happen again. I always believed it until one day I just was done. That was a couple years ago now. We have no contact, and he is completely out of my life. Thank God for learning lessons, because that was one hell of a lesson.
Oh my God. Okay, first of all, I swear to you guys, we don't select specific FML stories for episodes. They are picked at random, and this is the first time that I ever hear them. What is it with today's theme of men being shitty and cheating without the other woman's knowledge and accidentally being the other woman? And this goes back to the betrayal and disrespect of someone's body. To knowingly give them something, that is breaking the law. That is a crime. If you know that you have some type of STD, to then have sexual contact with a partner and not disclose that to them, and then fucking have somehow already given them a pill to remedy it, that's so next level of diabolical psychosis. Like, oh my God, my skin is crawling, girl. Valerie is also one of our beloved FMLers, so my heart is like going out to you right now, girl. Thank you for submitting that, because it is helping other people learn to not be ashamed when shit like that happens in their life. I am so sorry that you went through that. What a fucking piece of work. Okay, here's story number 2.
Hi, Gabriella. My name is Samantha, and my FML story is I had met a man who was on a visa from the Netherlands. When we first met, he disclosed that he was still married but separated from his wife, and the visa that he was on was his wife's. So they weren't planning on getting a divorce. She was going to let him stay on the visa until it ended in March of that next year. We had a whirlwind relationship for 3 months, and then he ended it with me. I took a little mini trip to my sister in Milwaukee, and 4 days into our breakup, he reached out like they always do, and I know you know that, and he wanted to talk when I came back to Chicago. He also let me know that he had wrote me a letter that he wanted me to read, and I really wanted him to read it to me. But once we met up, I read the letter, and he was basically laying everything I needed to know. He wasn't the man for me, couldn't be the man for me. But what came out of his mouth when I saw him was all he wanted was for me to go back to the Netherlands with him. So we ended up staying together and traveling quite a bit during COVID. I know we're horrible people. And we kept on talking about me moving to the Netherlands and talking about having a kid and all this stuff. And we went on a trip to Colorado, talked about potentially moving back there once we moved back from the Netherlands. And then a month to the date, he told me in Boston that he didn't want me to move back and gave me the opportunity to break up with him or to stay with him. And I chose to stay with him, and it was only more of a whirlwind. But that is a little bit into my FML story. Thank you so much for sharing your story. You definitely have inspired me to write my own personal book, and I finished your book, your newest book, in literally 2 days. So thanks for writing, and I hope a third's coming.
Oh, that's so sweet. I hope a third's not coming because that means my life would have to blow up again. Okay, seriously, people aren't going to believe me, but I'm going to repeat it. We don't pre-select these stories. What the fuck with these similarities today? I mean, again, from the Netherlands and lying about the relationship. I mean, come on. There's also a theme of allowing people back in when they shouldn't be allowed back in. When someone lies on that level or is deceitful on that level, there shouldn't be, well, I can't say there shouldn't be second chances because every situation is different and like, don't come for me, but there usually shouldn't be second chances. Like that's next level of deceit and dishonor, and not having trust in a relationship is the worst way to start out a companionship. And all three of the stories that we've talked about today have the theme of someone not being honest and then the woman allowing them back in. Let's normalize cutting people the fuck out. You are allowed to just fucking bring the hammer down and be like, nope, this is a hard boundary. This is not happening anymore. I know it's hard when we are in the situation and we have those fucking love goggles on, but the facts of the situation have to be your closure. The facts of the situation have to be enough disrespect for you to choose yourself. Let's say that again. The facts of the situation has to be enough for you to choose yourself. You deserve so much fucking better than that bullshit, you guys. Next week, everybody, I am very, very pleased to tell you that after my inbox has been flooded with people asking me when I was going to bring a certain someone back on, he will be joining us next week. He did an episode with me in season 1. He also did many of the bonus episodes in season 2 on the subscription site. Mr. Unicorn himself will be gracing us with his presence. My man, Tay, will be back on FML Talk. If you have read The Ridiculous Misadventures of a Single Girl, you probably know him as Tyler, and he is coming on to talk about how we maintain a healthy relationship, the habits that we use to really try and keep that bond strong, and how we've managed to make it really fucking work. So I can't wait to have him back on the show next week. As always, make sure you guys are subscribed so you never miss an episode. Don't forget, you can watch the episodes live in studio on youtube.com/FML Talk. Keep up with us on Instagram at FML Talk Podcast for all the behind the scenes goodies. And if you are not hanging out with us on Patreon, what the hell are you doing? You can get 3 seasons of mini bonus episodes to binge at your leisure. And you also get 10% off all your merch. But most importantly, you have access into the private self-love Facebook group, where there is so many amazing people on their healing journeys, supporting each other, creating awesome fucking friendships. And you can even have a self-love cocktail hour Zoom with me. So make sure you check all that out at patreon.com/FML Talk. I will see you guys all next week. Until then, cheers.